Welcome back to Apollo City Comics, your anything and everything comic book podcast. I'm Brandon Blocksdorf.
And I'm Brandon Moncada.
And I'm Alex Batts.
And boys, it has been a wild fucking couple months. I'm not going to lie. It's been pretty crazy. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. And we are actually continuing our astonishing Miracleman saga today. Entering a new era into a new volume out of the like 5 that there are. And I'm super hyped. But dude, between like talking to creators, but I'm filling out fulfillment, getting books ready to ship, and like just the regular day life and comics and stuff, and it has been insane, which is why our social media has been a little bit quiet, and why like posting has been sporadic. But like if you're keeping up with episodes, excuse moi, because I'm in charge of the Instagram and I haven't been posting the promo images. But here we are yet again entering stuff. But you know what? It has just been downright like exhausting to a certain point. But you know, we're still alive because we get our coffee through Coffee and a Comic over at coffeeandacomic.com, where you can set up your pull list, get all the variants you want, help support Frank, his new brick and mortar store, a small business, and you get your books bagged and fucking boarded when they're sent to you. Beautiful. Beautiful. That means you could thrash them around, take them to work right away once you get your shipment, whatever you want. Like you're able to do that because they are bagged and boarded.
It'll be fine.
Just toss it. It's gonna bounce right off, and there's like a
just play disc golf with your
chance.
floppies.
Yeah.
Play disc golf.
It'll be fine. That's the
Brandon's just like, you see this book? He's like, it's fine because a Coffee and a Comic boarded that book and bagged and boarded that shit.
I want to see a comic book like fly through a window and just crash through it. You know what I mean? Or like stab into a wall and still be in mint condition. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna patent like the first like indestructible bag and board combo ever. I can dip this shit in lava.
That's just slabs. You're just
that
gonna reinvent slabs.
You can still crack them open.
I mean, yeah, but like,
imagine having like imagine the Tom King run in single issues, but all slabbed.
just all slabbed. You just have fucking 85. Well,
you bring them with you in your backpacks, ready to read.
Just trying to read a comic at lunch, and you're just cracking open a slab.
Yeah, you get like an ice pick, just stab at it.
You have to carry around luggage that's the books, and then also a toolkit for opening them.
Little mini screwdrivers and then. Oh, it's beautiful. Man, yeah, it's check out coffeeandcomic.com. Use our 15% promo code, and guess what? And out come the comics, our punk rock anthology, right over here. Will be listed on the website soon, so you can get your copy coming soon to coffeeandacomic.com. Or maybe you're subscribed to our Patreon, and maybe you are one of our higher tiers that, you know, has a digital copy of And Out Come the Comics right now, and therefore you probably get to read it early, but get your physical copy over at coffeeandcomic.com. But there's other things that comes with our Patreon, such as Alex.
Yeah, there's a lot. We've got a couple different tiers. So we have our $1 tier, which gets you access to our Discord, and then also the book club, which we've been catching up quickly on Cav and Clay, trying to get through that book. So that's the first tier. The next tier up is the $5 tier. You get the book club, of course, in the Discord, and you also get our late night episodes, which we started to put those out, which are very exciting, very fun stuff. And then the next tier up gets you some behind the scenes stuff, and then also our books digitally whenever we have new books, which is what Brandon was just talking about. And then the highest tier from us, you can actually hire us to edit your book if you have a project that you're working on, like a single issue or a one shot or something that you kind of want help with, need help with. You can definitely reach out, get to that tier, and get us to work on your book with you. So yeah, be sure to check out our Patreon if you are not there already. It's really cool. Bunch of different options, bunch of different cool stuff we've got for you. So yeah, check that out. I stopped talking as Brandon was drinking.
So many cool.
Love that synergy.
I'm so excited to be doing we're going to be doing a newsletter format too, and Patreon updates too. So a lot of cool content's going in there just on the sidelines, and I'm so excited for that. And I'm as much as I love Cavalier and Clay, I can't wait.
I'm so excited to get to other books. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. So keep an eye out for that.
There's always that burnout when you like commit to something that's like I don't know. It takes up just all your time.
Well, it's also because
And
like
you
I
just,
don't think that we did not plan because we started Cabin Clay like months ago at this point, and we
Yeah.
didn't plan on still be doing like one book like 4 months later. Like it's just a
Yeah.
lot of stuff
Yeah,
happened
I
in
know
between.
everything.
Where, like we just couldn't do. We didn't have time to record more of them, so it's just turned into like way longer than we thought it would, and so. Still a fantastic book, though. Definitely go check out the episodes.
Fantastic.
They're awesome. Patreon also now is like has Spotify integration. So if you use Spotify and Patreon, you can listen to our Patreon exclusive episodes through your Spotify app. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
we can make a
thing.
social media post about that. That's super sick. That's one of the
Yeah.
coolest features that you could have on there, and especially for those Cavalier and Clay episodes. I think that's the best. But dang, our Patreon's gonna be on fire by the end of the year. It's gonna be so worth it for you guys.
Oh, 100%.
Catching up. But man, and I mean, because of that, and I say the end of the year because we've been doing so much and we're prepping for next year. We have an Out the Come the Comics where shipments, honestly, maybe by the time this episode airs, will be getting sent out. And also, we're getting ready to announce the date for the Kickstarter for the Cybersync anthology. And don't forget, we could still take submissions for Kai Brown's Shadow Anthology. That's open till October 31st, so take your time. Shoot us any messages if you have any questions. We've gotten a bunch of really great creators and messages, and I'm really hyped to see just how different this one is. And also, we got to promote this one a bit differently. This one was heavily promoted at San Diego, and I've been dropping it off at my comic book shop down the street, my local comic shop. So I think we're going to get a really fresh batch of comic book creators in this Shadow Anthology. But honestly, I saw the cover to the Cybersync Anthology, and I wish I could just share it with all of you right now.
I know,
Max
dude,
Flowers sent it to us.
It's too good. I want to share it with
It
everyone.
is insane.
Y'all have seen it, and like a couple of my other friends have sent it too. Because I was like, oh, you have to see this. This is epic. I can't wait. That'll hopefully, not by the time this episode's out, but hopefully by the time the next episode that we have is out,
Yeah.
that'll be out there in the wild, and you'll be able to see it, which is super. I can't wait. I'm so hyped.
Can't wait. I've been making all the books like the background on my phone, and it's just like one of those things where I'm just like, I'm so hyped. Like I'm so hyped about all that.
It's just so
it's beyond.
it's so it'll never not be surreal to see like a cover for a comic and you're like, oh man, this was just in my head and now I'm like looking at a
Now
thing.
it's there.
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just super exciting. I can't wait. But yeah, the pre-launch page for CyberSync is live right now, so be sure to go follow that. That'll be linked down below.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's all the like housekeeping
I
stuff.
know.
Unless we have more
Beautiful
stuff.
stuff.
It's so much.
Dude, yeah, it's and we'll be rolling out more stuff. Keep updated. Stay updated for as much as we can keep you updated. Is a better probably term. But and we have some great live videos that we've been doing with creators. We're kind of drifting away from doing creator interviews on the show, namely because sometimes we record an episode, we got to edit, we got to promote, we got to publish, and sometimes it's just hard to get that reach with just doing an episode. And a lot of our episodes we try to make timeless. And since there's so many of our creator interviews are focused on Kickstarters, we try to do that on our Instagram. I'll be doing Instagram lives, interviewing people, and we have some wonderful conversations there. And I mean, we've been talking so much about craft and what it's like to be an indie creator and just like ideas and what's going on in comics, not just promoting their work, but just like really good conversations in general. So I recommend, like, if you just want some cool content, check out our live videos on Instagram, and maybe one day we'll figure out and put the work in and try to put them on YouTube or something for you all. But for now,
Yeah.
check that out. But
Definitely.
man, it is time to talk about the Man of Miracles, Miracleman. This is we all know. We're all
A discussion every time we get to
every single
Miracleman.
time.
Where
This
are
is
you in the book, guys?
Yeah, which chapter, what page? The fuck?
I am starting book 2 of the hardcover, The Red King Syndrome, this killer Alex Ross cover, and it's the first story in book 2. And I'm also reading, the Eclipse printing, which is really rad, dude. Check out the Eclipse printing. It has a picture of Thanos in the corner of it right there.
Oh shit!
Right? Pretty
Yeah.
wild. But this is the cover to
Yeah.
issue 4. And the big thing on what's different between the two is the coloration. And then this one has a short backup story called the Red King Syndrome, which we'll get to in a bit. But I mean, okay, here we are at this point of Miracleman where we've left off volume 1, where Mike Moran rediscovers that he has this superpower by saying this word, and he ends up, his whole life changes. He's realizing what he's capable of doing. He tries to reconnect with his former sidekick, young Miracleman, and turns out that guy is an evil entrepreneur, and he's basically Apple and evil and shit, doing all this technological stuff. And they end up having a fight, and young Miracleman is basically in a crazy house at this point. You know what I mean? And a nut house, because he was trapped in that older, stronger body for so long that when he reverted back to his normal form, he was still a child. And so that kid was just destroyed in the head. And Miracleman
case
bangs,
of Benjamin Button.
Dude, for reals, yeah, honestly. Miracleman, and Mikey Moran, which is kind of funny how they're both MM. It's kind of adorable. But they, are trying to reconnect their life and figure out how it all fits. And of course, Miracleman bangs, Mikey Moran's wife. Technically, his wife, hard to say, debatable. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a Apollo City Late Night question.
I like the personhood debate between the two of them, Miracleman and Mike Moran, whether or not the difference there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
they
there's
are
a huge
technically
difference.
two different people,
right? Yeah, it's a different being taking over your body, and that gets touched upon and really pointed out in this issue, which is why I bring some of this up. And Miracleman discovers his origins, where he came from. He came from a lab, and all his memories of his past were kind of implanted. He fights this guy, Big Ben. Yeah, Big Ben. And, that's another dude that's kind of the same experiment that Miracleman's under. They're seeing something totally different than reality, and they're living it. And so, Miracleman just came out of this strange vengeance of destroying this laboratory, and we're kind of just continuing that story at that point. Am I missing anything leaving?
I mean, there's a lot of busy work in between, just this whole idea of Miracleman struggling with himself, how his wife prefers the superhero version over him, kind of thing. And the whole betrayal of, is it Kid Miracleman, or was the one that was Jeff Bezos?
Yeah. Kid Miracleman, yeah.
So there's a lot of that too.
It's Kid, not Young Miracleman. That's so shit.
Yeah, there's two of them. So there's a lot of that shit too, and a lot of existential, I guess you could say, crisis kind of thing. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but
I would say so.
Identity,
that's really emphasized in this next volume too. Emphasized.
Yeah, it's just his whole identity of should he just stay as Miracleman or stay as Michael Moran or whatever, so stuff like that. I was also going to point out how fucking stupid this is. So, how Marvel, we've been always going through Marvel reprinting the issues and everything.
Yeah.
So I want you to really think about how this is supposed to be listed if you're trying to find it. This is the Marvel reprint that is technically issue 5, but it says book 2, and then with the first story is Warrior number 13.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's not the best, the easiest thing to follow.
You can't even tell the story, the original writer, because he didn't want anything to be associated with Marvel.
You're not even, you're who the fuck? I don't.
Can you imagine if this was in a library or some shit and you're just trying to find it?
Dude, that's wild that yours even says, because you're reading the single issue Marvel reprints. And I'm reading the hardcover version and the Eclipse. So the Eclipse one does say Miracleman Book 2 Cat Games, and my Marvel reprint hardcover just says Miracleman Cat Games.
Yeah, the omnibus also just says Cat Games.
Okay.
But it's part of Book 2, The Red King Syndrome. It's just the first chapter in Book 2, which is titled The Red King Syndrome.
And then if you try searching that up, you get the Miracleman by Neil Gaiman issue number 5. So it makes it even more confusing.
Well, mine is chapter 1, even on the table of contents, it does say chapter 1 cat games, and then chapter 2 one of those quiet moments, chapter 3 nightmares. I think we covered just the 3 chapters in this one issue.
Yeah.
Because
either way, it's a mess.
and the next issue, oh, I see, it's an interlude. Oh, okay. All right, we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, what do you guys think of this issue? You know, we're technically we're only 4 issues in, just for the record. You know.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was definitely.
I liked it.
No,
Episode done.
sorry. I'm looking at the table of contents because I'm trying to find. Yeah, so like it's book 2, the Red King Syndrome, and then chapter 1 is cat games, and then chapter 2 is one of those quiet moments, which was the second little short story. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I was gonna say what's interesting about cat games is when you read a lot of like Alan Moore stuff, you can kind of see the like seeds of like how he did storytelling in his later books.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that because, you know, cat games is about like watching like the jaguar hunt and everything, and how like it's an apex predator, and then you kind of see that it's basically like a simile or like a metaphor for Miracleman, how he's like the apex predator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far you want to discuss the actual issue itself. Or,
Yeah, no, that's it. I want to talk about that because you're right. I was going to point that out. He does that a lot in Swamp Thing, where he has like mirroring stories, and you're kind of like, what's this like fucking, you know, cheetah like story doing with Miracleman? Like, how does it relate? And you really do have to like think about how Alan writes to understand that similarity.
Yeah, he does a better version of this in Watchmen, where the first time, what's Night Owl's name? I forgot already. The newer one.
Yeah, the young one.
Oh my God. Well, when Night Owl and Silk Spectre, well, when they sleep together for the first time, there's that TV showing like some acrobatic dude doing shit in the background.
Oh yeah,
and he talks about how like it's basically like his sexual performance is being like told through that like TV of like the guy doing all the flips, and he's like, oh, he's doing his best, he's almost there, and it's basically like narrating the sex scene. So he does something similar again in that as well. And so he's always played with this idea of like similes and metaphors being used to tell the actual story.
Hell yeah.
Describe the character.
It's a great, I learned that, I steal that a lot in my writing too. It's such a cool thing to do, and it makes you kind of think in different perspectives, and it kind of helps you relay, you know, different imagery and words at the same time too. It's a fun thing, and Alan is absolutely brilliant at that.
Mm-hmm. He only got better with it over time too.
Mm-hmm.
The other
but I
thing,
love that you pointed that out because you know, it's talking about what's his name, Gargunza.
Yeah.
I always just think of the beans. And now I can't think of the
Garbanzo.
Garbanzo, yeah.
The other thing too is we get like we follow up with like Miracleman and his, well, I guess Michael and his wife.
And that's the scene I love. Like you really see how like pudgy Alan Davis, you know, his run is kind of wrapping up at this point, but Alan Davis really emphasized like how his cheeks kind of like sag, how he has that like throat hanging, the man boobs with the gut hanging out, and even like when you look at his pajamas, the like wrinkles in them, like just the contrast that you see from when you turn the page in a couple pages and just see the sparkling fucking fit like golden like glittery god in front of you, chiseled. Yeah
You went from dad bod to god bod.
Yeah, dude, straight up.
But there's also that really, so we also follow up with Kid Miracleman.
Yeah, because we get that one little scene with him.
And I love that because it shows you like his state. You know, the reprint, I don't feel like does it justice because you do see the yellows and it feels brighter. But when you look at this original printing, I love how like it's all just one flat color in red. It makes it feel eerier, and it does make it feel like it's a dream and coming out of you. You know,
yeah, it makes that's way better than how it is in the omnibus, because like in the omnibus it's all like evenly colored, but like that you can
Yeah.
tell that the things are like it's not a part of reality. Like it's
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
very clearly separate.
It's well, I can't really tell through the camera, but is it more of like a violet or like a red?
It looks like a pink, like
A pink?
yeah, like a
Yeah,
reddish
it's
pink, I
more
think.
like a pink.
like a magenta
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. Is that like,
Yeah, because in the reprint it
Probably
has
a
the color of
magenta of
his
some
outfit.
sort. Yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. To be honest,
That's like
I think it's just
this keeps reminding me of the original colors for the Killing Joke, which just look
dude.
I don't think
so
I've
much
seen
better.
Killing Joke original colors.
They
I have
actually
the
just
absolute edition.
yeah they
and it
actually they
has-
literally just released that has the original colors in it, which I need to get because I only have the reprinted colors like physically, which is
I don't think we've ever talked about the Killing Joke on the show. We haven't. Well, we've only done like 3 Batman stories, to be honest. Like, but that would be an interesting one just to talk about that coloration.
yeah.
Did I do a Killing
Oh,
Joke
yeah,
episode
for sure.
back in the day? I don't know. I don't think so. But that would be fun. That'd be super cool. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
and this too ties into this whole cheetah metaphor, and even the conversation. A jaguar, yeah. The conversation between the dude with the Mr. Smiley,
Mr. Clean, right?
Mr. Clean, yeah, something like
Is
that.
it-
that
Mr.
bizarre-
Cream, right?
No, it's cream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cream. Yeah, Mr.
Cream,
Cream.
yeah.
And his like CIA friends and everything. Like I love how that like intertwines between it all. At this point, God, we suck at names. We really do suck at names. But Mike Moran's wife, it's like Laura or some shit like that.
Yeah,
And,
well, when you're looking at this, real quick, actually, I wanted to backtrack to that last page. It's another one of those Alan Moore situations where the writing is oddly sexual, and like this dude really just tried cramming so much in there, because it's Kid Miracle talking to himself basically, or like
my bad, yeah.
the villain, yeah, and he's like, "You want to gobble her up, Johnny boy?" And he just talks about like all the, like sink your teeth into her and like the juice run down your chin and all that. I'm like, this guy always has to make it like super like.
Dude, she even says she's got terrific breasts. Don't you think so, Johnny? And look at her legs. Shut up. Won't let you out. I won't. I mean, I can't let you out. I don't have the power anymore. That's what I meant. I meant to say I can't. To be honest, Johnny, I never thought you could until a second ago.
Yeah, that
That's a good
interaction
plan.
feels like, yeah, the interaction itself feels oddly like sexual across the page.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's Alan. We're not at the rape phase of Alan Moore yet, but
Getting
there's
there.
some eerie moments.
Getting there.
It's building up. Building
Yeah,
the
it's
suspense
like
up.
it's like it's there. Also, I don't feel like that like dialogue from the evil part really makes sense. Like, I mean, I guess like him being like, "I never really thought you could until just now," and like he was just being a dick. Like, and like his plan was just to be like he just wanted to be a dick no matter what. But like it doesn't
Yes.
like it wouldn't make sense for him to like have the plan and then to be like, well, I didn't think so. Because it's like, well, then why the fuck were you? Like,
Yes, exactly.
like,
he's just
oh,
an asshole. He's just
he's just
an
the worst.
asshole.
Yeah, but have you guys ever seen interviews or read anything about why his writing gets like that weird sexual tension, or he incorporates that?
Not off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to call anything.
I don't know. I just, the more we've been reading Miracleman, the more I catch it, because this is like my second run through with it, and I'm like, man, he really puts this in there.
oh yeah, it's not subtle.
No.
I feel like, Alan was just like one of those really like deprived guys, like when he was younger, and like wasn't that social, wasn't out that much, and you're looking at like weird stuff in that time frame, and he's in Northampton. What's really available to you there, no matter what, So a lot of like fantasies just living through your head. And like being
Yeah.
at that age of your like early 20s and like unsatisfied, you know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
getting like a weird, and just being able to absorb like what's around you. You're in Northampton, you know what I mean? Like Jesus Christ.
Brandon's like, I've
what
been
is
out there.
that?
I know what it's like.
Have you guys seen his movie, The Show?
I want to. I haven't yet.
Oh, dude, it's fucking brilliant for one. But it all takes place in Northampton, and you see it, and you're like, there ain't nothing here. Like there. No
Is that where
wonder
he's
you were
from?
So bored. Yeah. He's born and
Oh,
raised.
okay.
He's never left. He's always lived in Northampton.
Yeah, he's just been
Like,
a wizard out there.
just straight up. But yeah, this whole like first little story turns into the crazy sex scene, you know, with him, Miracleman, and Miracleman just, you know, first off, Mikey Moran storms off into the background a few pages ago. And then he was even saying, like, you know, just real snarky, like, you know, you'd rather be with him. Like, you really want him and not me. And that's where that, you know, battle kind of comes from. And he just goes and transforms when Liz is like, no, wait, listen to me. Like, I want to talk to you. And then out comes Miracleman. And Miracleman walks out and just takes off his suit and, like, embraces his wife and, like, caresses her. And they bang. She's pregnant right now, too. They've already, like, had sex to establish she's pregnant. And then we lead back to this Jaguar and the attack. And, like, even like, where Gargunza is like saying now to fire the bullet, that's like when she's like climaxing and shit, like it shifts back to her, and then the kill, and then the to be continued, you know what I mean? The kill matches with like the orgasm of the sex, and I see what he didn't quite pull it off, I don't feel, but I feel like it was a good ramp up, just the execution didn't fall on point to like connect that clearly, you know?
Well, it's trying to like bring everything like full circle with like how like Miracleman is this predator, or like you know, nothing escapes this apex predator, and he's trying to like show that through the sex scene as well, because like a page before it talks about how she feels like she's being hunted and she's afraid and vulnerable, just like when a jaguar is hunting its prey. And then, you know, the payoff is supposed to be the shot and the climax, but you can see, like, again, to your point, the execution isn't entirely there, but you can see the idea he was going for.
Yep.
It also feels a little forced, if we're being honest.
You know, I also feel like this is all, now he's really, you know, I feel like the first 3 issues almost felt like complete, you know, 22-page story arcs, and putting them together made sense. But I feel like, especially in this issue, there's 3 stories in it, and they all feel very short story, like one-shotty. You know what I mean? This does kind of continue the story, just barely, but it's always at the end of everything almost. Especially this next one, one of those quiet moments. Like, it's about him, like, you know, flying around. There's this kid in the forest, like, living his fucking little fantasy life and taking random shit out of a tree. And he sees this glittery guy over here and asks him some questions. And he's like, I'm a superhero, you know, I guess so, and shit. And he's like, prove it. And he goes and just fucking smashes a hole in the ground. Being a kid. Fucking, bah. And then, you know, we kind of end off on, like, what we would kind of call the armature of the story. And it's just, like, cool little Peter Pan quote. Have you guys ever read Peter Pan before?
Yeah. It's been...
I haven't.
I can't say I have.
It's been forever, but yeah.
I'd love to, like, read it. I've never read the, like, novel itself, actually. But
No,
the
I can't
quote
say I
is,
have.
yeah, I don't, for sure not. But the quote's pretty cool. Children have the strangest adventures without being troubled by them. For instance, they may remember to mention a week after the event happened that when they were in the woods, they met their dead father and had a game with him. Peter Pan and Wendy. Interesting, you know, and it's about this kid going in the woods, meeting the superhero, and probably like not mentioning it for a long time until like it's like, oh yeah, it was this fucking guy fucking punched a hole in the ground. But Miracleman heads back home, and he finds his home is destroyed, and that's what triggers off the story. So you have this weird little interlude basically, and triggers it off into nightmares. And nightmares is actually the real part of all of this that pieces everything to move it forward. Miracleman's home has been destroyed. Only 2 people, like, apparently in the world know, like, his identity and who he is, like, as Mikey Moran. And he goes back to Mr. Cream, and he's like, what the fuck, dude? He's like, I will fucking destroy you right now if you don't fucking admit it.
What the hell is going on here?
Cream is like, dude, it ain't me. I'll call my CIA friends. They know too. I'll let them know. And then he's telling his CIA friend that, like, Miracleman's going to level out London unless you let us know where his wife is in 1 hour. And then they're like, we didn't do it. And he's like, all right, nah, for sure they do. They were going to shit themselves. Like, they were that scared of what's happening too. But then he's like, there's one other person. And then it switches over to Gargunza, and he now has Miracleman's pregnant wife with him. And we're left on a to be continued.
Love to see it.
That's
true,
the issue
yeah.
for you
All
guys.
the drama.
Yeah. It pretty
My
much ends
issue.
there.
Oh, actually, before I even go into that, what do you guys think of this overall as we like wrap up?
I liked it. I think I liked the quiet moments one a lot, just because I like scenes and sequences like that. Like I really loved whenever the kid like asks, he's like, would you be able to save us from like nuclear winter, essentially? And he's like, well, he's like, I don't like making any promises, but I'd do my best. And he's like, well, that's about the fairest that you could like say. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. You both were just real as fuck right there. Like, he was like, look, kid, that's a tough
totally
question. Right. I'd try. And he's like, all right, man, fair enough. Like, so yeah, I really like that one. I think that the overall like story definitely makes sense. Like the dude who, it seems like he's got some real weird, Oedipus isn't exactly the right thing, because it's not his mother, but like his apparent scheme that it seems like he's had for a long time, as far as like, he was saying something like the fact that this child is going to become his father, and like, yeah. I'm like, this dude's up to something.
more weird Alan Moore sexual stuff.
Yeah, and so it's a very interesting complex this dude's got going on. So we'll have to, I think how that's fully like executed will be a lot will hinge on that for me, I think, but it's definitely interesting. And I don't know, it also though I think does make a lot of sense in hindsight, like having all like, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see this being like the reason the story went this way, from everything that had been set up previously. But yeah, enjoyed it overall though.
Yeah, I was always a fan of getting past origin story shit. Like the first couple issues feels like if you're watching a movie, like the origin movie, you know, where like you're getting to know everybody, you're understanding his powers, how they work, the origin story of how it came to be and all that. And like that stuff's cool, and don't get me wrong, it's super essential. But when it comes to like comic book superhero stuff, I always like getting past that. Yeah. And just getting into like the nitty gritty of like the crazy shit, you know, like, all right, we're past the formal, like, this is how he became a superhero. I want to see what they do with him next. And it finally feels like...
Oh, no, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. You had one more thought.
No, I was just saying, it just finally feels like we're getting a different type of story. Where now they're trying to, like, figure out what it is that makes Miracleman tick. Or, like, what it is he cares about. How can we get him since he's invulnerable, right? Kind of like, you know, Superman, of course, where it's like, okay, Superman's invulnerable, but, like, how do we work around that?
Exactly. Dude, I think... You know, I remember saying when we started all this, yeah, Ferris.
It's just always like, just take the woman.
Yeah. Honestly, straight up, take the woman. Yeah, fucking lowest to fucking.
All it like comes into, which is like.
But I remember saying when we started Miracleman that like Volume 2 was my favorite. And because it was like a fun read and some like cool shit happens and things start to change. And then Volume 3, it's like really complex and really like almost like really philosophical, I feel. Alex is probably gonna have a fucking blast with Olympia, to be honest, because it really gets deep into some of that shit. Yeah.
That's right before Neil Gaiman, right?
Yeah, that dense ass volume, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be fun exploring those issues. But I don't see, it's been so long since I've read this fucking book, like 10 years. I don't remember why it was my favorite, but I remember Red King Syndrome was my favorite. So I think it's because of that. You move past the origin, you kind of figure out why he's become himself, and now we're seeing the results of that, and that's what we really want to anticipate towards.
Yeah.
Crazy enough, this issue is over for you guys. This issue wasn't over for me. I had in this Eclipse printing a backup called the Red King Syndrome Part 1, which is what this arc is technically called. Now, we were gonna review this like little short story, the Red King Syndrome, but it turns out that I think in all the collected editions, I could be wrong, but in my Marvel reprint over here,
what is that one called?
It's called the Red King Syndrome, and I think the way it's listed for me is that once you get through the 3 issues we just went over, Cat Games, One of Those Quiet Moments, and Nightmares. The next part is technically issue 5 of the Eclipse printing, chapter 4, The Approaching Light, and then it does this interlude the Red King
The
syndrome.
Red King syndrome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
why I
then
was
it
like,
goes-
what's going on?
That's how it's
It
printed
does
in the
that
also
jump.
omnibus.
They also connect.
Okay,
It's ridiculous. This printing
Yeah.
is absurd in all
It's
of the versions.
insane. Yeah. Good luck following along, everyone. I'm gonna have to read both things to kind of just bounce back and forth as I enter issue 7. I mean, chapter 7, issue 5, book 2.
Part 18.
Chapter 18. Yeah.
It's like
Oh, by
reading
the
a
way,
legal
here's a-
document, dude. Like,
Yeah. You're
paragraph
like, here's
5.
a bonus story that's 100 issues later.
Section 4C.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a legal
Third
document.
printing. Well, we'll be continuing more Miracleman in the next couple weeks. We're wrapping it all up by the end of the year, so we'll get to jump on it a bit more. But keep an eye out, and keep an eye out for some upcoming Black Hammer, and X-Men commentary, and check out our previous stuff. The heavy metal commentary we did was fucking killer. Go listen to that. I don't even remember any of our other episodes off the top. Wicked Divine has been coming out. We've been consistent on that too. Part 4 should be coming out pretty soon as well, and 5 within the next month or two, I'm sure. And yeah, I mean, keep an eye out for everything else we announced at the beginning of the show. You guys are all amazing. Alex, Brandon, any final words on number 4?
No, I don't think so.
Reread everything so you can reconfuse yourself.
There you go. Well, thanks for hanging.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for having me.